Hey there! In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up an external hard drive for Mac and PC, for Time Machine backup, and for file storage. So the reason I made this video is because I did a lot of Googling and searching when I bought a new hard drive, and I wanted to make sure I got the maximum use out of it. So it took me a lot of Googling and searching around to figure out how to do that. So I decided to make this video to save you time. So first off though, I'm assuming that you're doing this for a new fresh hard drive. If you have an existing external hard drive that you'd like to set up this way, please do yourself a favor and make a backup of everything on it first, because we're going to format the hard drive and set partitions in order to get these results that we want. So you'll want to make a backup before you do any of that stuff and lose all your data and files. So all this formatting will erase everything, so make sure you make a backup first. Okay, so now I'm going to plug in my external hard drive. I didn't plug it in yet because I wanted to show you what kind of notifications will come up and what to do. Okay, there it is. So you can see the icon up here in the right, my passport. So what we're going to use is the disk utility. So the fastest way to find that is to go up here and click on the magnifying glass for spotlight search. And then we'll type in disk utility. There it is. We double click on that. Okay, so now we are in the disk utility. So it's very important that we select our external hard drive here with the yellow icon. So as you can see, mine is a 2 terabyte Western Digital, my Passport Ultra. So I'll click on this. So make sure you do not click on either of these icons because that's the internal hard drive on your computer. And in my case, I'm using a MacBook Pro. So you do not want to select this and do any formatting or anything, because then you'll erase everything on your computer. Okay, so now what we're going to do, in order to make sure we can use our external hard drive for all the things that we want, we're going to click here on Partition. All right. And let's see, so now we're in... Okay, so most people, when we get external hard drives, there are two main things we're going to use them for. One is to make backups, and the other one is for file storage. So we're going to create 2 partitions. And another way to create partitions, besides what I did was I clicked here under partition layout and chose 2 partitions. Another way you can create more partitions is to click on the plus or minus sign down here. And I've heard that this works better if you're using an existing drive, but don't quote me on that. Just be careful and back up everything first. Okay, so now we have 2 partitions for our external hard drive. And before we do anything else, we want to click here on Options. And we want to make sure that the partition scheme we choose is this one at the top, GUID partition table. When I was doing some research, this seems to be the latest standard for using partitions, while the default selection master boot record is more of an older one that's being phased out. Anyway, so just to be more up to date, use GUID partition table. Click on OK. Okay, so let's see. Now our first partition, we'll click on that. So give it a name. So like I said before, the main 2 reasons we get external hard drives are for backup and file storage. So for this one, we'll make this our backup folder. That's weird. I wonder why it always makes it uppercase like that. Oh, okay. So so for format, now for backups, Mac computers come with a built-in backup tool called Time Machine, which is really good and easy to use. But to be able to use Time Machine, you need to make sure the format is Mac OS Extended journaled. So I'll select that. So now to give it a name, backup. Okay, so for the name I'll use backup. For format I'll use Mac OS Extended. Now for the size. So this you might have to give it a little bit of thought. So the easy answer is just to set it to be to be the same size as your built-in internal hard drive. So in my case it would be 250. So because by default it's according to terabytes, I guess I should put 0.25. So a quarter of a terabyte, that would be 250 gigabytes. Okay, so when you click outside the field, then it'll convert it into gigabytes. So now I have it for 250 gigabytes. So the reason why you want it to be the same as your internal hard drive is just because the way that a lot of these backup programs work is that they try to take over the entire hard drive. But the thing is though, you end up with a lot of wasted space because in most cases the built-in hard drive is way smaller and your external hard drive is way bigger. So you end up like losing a lot of space that you could have used for something else. So the fast answer is just to make it the same, 250 gigabytes. One reason you might want to make it bigger though is if you feel like you might get a new computer soon, and new computer will probably have a bigger hard drive built in than the one you have now. So you might want to make it a little bit bigger so that way in case you want to back up on your on a new computer that you get later, you can have a little bit more space and more of a cushion. But in my case, my reasoning is I think nowadays like external hard drives are getting bigger and cheaper all the time, so I'm not too worried about it. So I prefer to maximize instead my external hard drive for file storage, not for backups. So I'll just go back to 250. Okay, so that looks all right. So again, okay, so now, like I said, I want to maximize my external hard drive for file storage. So now let's go do that. So this is done for our backup partition. Okay, so now we'll go into our second partition. So for the format, I like to use exFAT. And the reason why is exFAT is compatible for both Mac and PC. So that's really convenient if you use multiple computers. Like for me, I use a Mac computer at home and a Windows PC computer at work. So by using exFAT, it'll be really easy for me to transfer files. Like if I'm working on a project at work, but then I want to save it to my hard drive and then take it home to use it on my Mac, or vice versa. Like if I'm working on something at home on my Mac, I can use my external hard drive to save the file and then later continue in the work at my office. So there, by default, MS-DOS FAT is checked, but from my understanding, that format has a file limit for file sizes of 4 gigabytes, while exFAT I think has a much higher limit. So I'll choose exFAT. And then for the name, I'll just call this files. And by size, it automatically gave me the remaining file space, which is 1.75 terabytes. All right. Oh, and another reason why we want to have our files as a separate partition from our backup is that the way Time Machine works is the first time you run it, it makes a copy of your internal hard drive. But then, so that's why the first time you run the backup, it'll take the longest. But after you do that, it'll only basically act as a catalog and just track the changes. So if you add or delete files to your internal hard drive, the next time Time Machine runs, it'll make a note of what files have run or not, what files have been added or deleted, and then just make the updates to the backup. So if you added a file on your internal hard drive, the Time Machine will add those files to the backup. And if you delete files on your internal hard drive, it'll also delete files on the backup. So this is why we want to have a separate partition to store our files that won't get deleted, like if we make a change to our internal hard drive. So this file storage is where you would put a lot of your like media collection, like photos especially, and music files and videos. Yeah, so when you store stuff here, it won't get lost in any backup updates. Let's see. Okay, we look like we're done. So when you're done with this, click on Apply. Then it'll ask you, are you sure you want to do this? Click on Partition. So this should be pretty quick because this is a brand new hard drive that I just bought from Best Buy. Alright, and okay, look like we're done. So now the last part we have to go through is just to make sure to set up Time Machine to do our backups to the right partition. So you do want to use files to back up with Time Machine. So let me decide later. Okay, so now that we're done, we can get out of this. Oh, and actually, yeah, one last thing. One other reason why we do it this way is to use Time Machine, you need to have a partition that's in the macOS extended format. So that's what this is for. But then for our files, it's an exFAT. And the great benefit of that is that we can use both Mac and PC computers to store files and read and write files. Okay, so let's close out of that. So now let's go into Spotlight Search again and look up Time Machine. Okay, you haven't selected location for Time Machine backups. So click on Set up Time Machine. We're going to turn Time Machine on. And we want to make sure we set our backup partition to receive the Time Machine backups. Okay, so then click on Use Disk. Okay, so now I have 250 gigabytes or 250 gigs available. And it says the next backup will happen in about 110 seconds. Alright, so it looks like we're done with setting up our external hard drive. So I hope this was helpful to you, and if you found it helpful, please click the like button so that this video can spread to more people who need help with setting up their external hard drives. Alright, so I'm Marcus, and thank you for watching. Hope this helped.